Hi and welcome to the BecomingGreat.com podcast. A podcast for people who want to make the world or their own lives better through entrepreneurship and personal development. And this today would be an update episode where we talk about the ride, the challenges, the struggles that we go through building the company Great.com. An organization that will give away 100% of its profits to charity. And I am here today, and as always, with the founder of Great.com, Erik Bergman. Erik, how's your day going?
My day is going well. It started with Technic chaos, and for you who don't know me, there is one thing that is my kryptonite, and that's when technology doesn't work the way I want it to. So I was thinking for a little while what it would be like to be a rock star in the 70s, throwing out a TV out of the window, jumping and screaming and punching guitars into the walls. So I did that, and after that it felt better.
I can't imagine you throwing a TV out of the window, buddy. I'm sorry.
Me neither, but it would be fun. It looks fun in the movies. But yeah, I'm good. I'm good. I'm a little bit excited about this episode. I'm also a little bit nervous about this episode, and we'll dive into why that is. And I'm here with Emil, my good buddy, as always, who was the first one joining me in this great endeavor of Great.com. My longtime old friend, one of the smartest guys I know, and the personal development geek with a big G, P, depending on which you want to put it on.
I thought you were going to say big heart.
No, he doesn't. Yeah, no. He's got a big heart too. He's big. So how are you today, my good friend?
I feel quite lovely. This is our second podcast that we're recording in the same day. I feel like I'm in a good flow, floating out there in the atmosphere of flow state. And I'm excited to get into this because I'm not nervous. I don't have any responsibility here. I'm just asking questions. You're founding this company. So Let's dive into it, because today we're going to talk about goals. Goals that we have set for our organization. And spoiler, we have not quite reached them. And here we want to give you an update about how we're doing building this company. And we also want to give value for you that might be running your own company and you might be struggling reaching the goals that you have set, or you might just be struggling reaching goals in your personal life. And we want to explore how to deal with that frustration. So let's jump right in. Erik, can you give the listener some background on these goals? What are they? Why did we set them?
Yes. Okay, so we're rewinding the clock about 6 months to when all of the team of Great met in Sweden in August or September, something like that. And we were doing this workshop about what goals we wanted to set and where we wanted to be at what time. And the main goal that we landed on was that by August 2020, so August this year, we wanted to reach break even on a monthly basis, meaning that we wanted to have revenues of about 50,000 euros. And at the time we had 0. And now we're about halfway there and we have 0. So we're not even close at the moment. And this became also the overarching goal that kind of led into a lot of smaller goals. Like, okay, we want to have this many visitors coming to our site per month, and we need to see this increase. We wanted to see this many agreements in place with clients, and we wanted to see this many links pointing towards Great.com, because links will give us traffic.
Could you just quickly describe what the organization is doing and what our business model is, just briefly, so someone can keep up?
Thanks. Yeah, so basically what Great.com will be, it's a casino marketing company similar to what TripAdvisor does within traveling, but we will do it for the gambling industry. And we will donate all of our profits to charity. And the reason we're in the casino industry is that That's been the industry I've been in my entire life. So I know this very well, and I've built this kind of businesses before. So I put high goals to start with, and then they catch me off guard. So yeah, in brief, the main overarching goal is that we want to reach break even by August. And then that has dribbled down into smaller goals that in reality are just stepping stones to get there. They're all based on one overarching goal. And yeah, we set them in August, and we are constantly missing them at the moment.
So why are we missing them? Are we doing something wrong?
So Joachim, who is managing a lot of things in Great, he's got this red, yellow, and green colored coding system where we have this Excel sheet with these different targets, and on a monthly basis we need to reach this, this, and this for it to be green in each part, or yellow in each part, or red, meaning obviously good, less good, and bad. And for the past couple of months, everything has been red. And to try and understand why that is happening is, so there's a lot of things going on. First and foremost, now I feel that I'm caught on a spot trying to understand things and trying to invent reasons. I'm actually just going to feel in what do I actually believe. So I believe a big part of the problem is that we're a remote organization. We're not sitting in the same room. We're not working. We're not meeting each other all the time. So I feel we're losing a lot of productivity to this point. I believe that's a big part of the problem. I still believe that's a good strategic decision, because I think in the long term, once we have figured out how to be productive, how to have high productivity in a remote organization, it will benefit us. But I believe that's one of the main concerns right now, is that we simply don't get enough done. And I think that is due to we're not communicating well enough on a regular enough basis, that things that would have taken 2 minutes to just do when we were sitting next to each other, maybe calibrating what direction we're heading in, understanding what someone is working on. These things don't happen as fluently as I think they would have done if we were in the same room. So I think that's part of why we're missing our goals. And my gut tells me that's a big part. The other part I feel is that I'm not reaching my goals. I'm not involved enough in everything, and I'm supposed to be the leader and the main role model of things, and I'm not engaging enough with everyone. I'm not communicating enough. I'm not showing the way enough. I'm not taking the full responsibility of doing the things that I know are necessary to reach our goals. So I believe the second biggest reason is me and my...
So
where I have my...
May I ask a question here then? Because I know that you're spending a lot of time building your social media platform, and that's going to be a way to influence, which is also a goal of Great. And
yeah.
I know that you're not lying on the sofa doing nothing.
Rarely.
Erik is working morning to evening every day, pretty much. Not because he has to, but because that's just who he is as a person. That's how you find joy. So I know you're using a lot of your time with different projects that will benefit Great. So is it a fair thing to say then that we're not missing our goals because you haven't been involved? Because you have chosen to do other things?
Okay, so let's rephrase it. The main reason why we're not reaching our goal is that it's probably not the goal we are working towards. So I'm working really hard. I'm doing a lot of things, but I'm not working that much towards the goal of reaching break even in August.
Yeah.
I think that's
that's more fair to say. Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm working very hard with so in my head, and this is something that I realized that makes things complicated. our goal is to be an insanely big company 50 years from now that makes so much difference in the world. And that makes me not really think much about what's going on now or 6 months from now. And I realize in my head, and that might be a bit selfish in my approach, I'm already thinking so much about the future that I forget about the now. And other people in the team wants to see results now. And I feel that I'm not present enough with the now to help them out with that. So yeah, I think I'm not focused enough on the goal that we have, which is a year from now. So I'm not sure I have a big enough buy-in in that goal, and that's a big reason why we're missing it as well, and why I'm not as engaged with as I could be.
So help me understand if this is fair, because I think this applies to evaluating your goals in general. We're saying we're not reaching our goals because we are not in the same place, but we have chosen to be remote. We're not reaching our goals because you are not putting enough time in, but you have chosen to put it into social media and influence. So is it helpful to make these comparisons?
So I think that this is what becomes very interesting with this conversation is, did we set the right goal?
Yeah.
Can you set a goal without a big enough buying and engagement in that? What would have been a better goal? And I don't have the answer to that, but and I haven't been thinking about this much myself, to be honest. I realize now in this very moment that that's what's going on. I don't care enough about this goal. I wish I cared about it because that's where we kind of agreed to care, but I don't care enough about this goal.
And I think that might be, as an employee in Great, like our business model is pretty complicated. I know I know the basic idea. We get links to our domain, which means that we rank high up on Google, which means that casino players find us, which means that we get an affiliation bonus from them playing casino. That I understand, but I do not understand like how many links do we need, and I don't know exactly what is required for me to reach the goal of going break even. If I was going around knocking on people's doors selling vacuum cleaners, it's much easier to understand that I need to sell 680 vacuum cleaners for me to break even, to do my part. But here it's much more vague, and I don't know what I can do exactly, for us to reach these goals.
Yeah. Yeah, and that once again has come down to me explaining and following up on that goal, which if I wholeheartedly cared about this goal, if I felt that this is not just a number that we took out of thin air or a certain timeline that didn't really mean much, then I would probably be a lot more engaged with people understanding that.
And a part of this goal is out of our control as well, right? I don't fully understand that, but it's no guarantee you get X links, you get X money in the same way that you would make X dollars from selling X amount of vacuum cleaners.
Definitely. So yeah, let's boil this down. One reason is we're remote. And once again, that to revisit that thought, we are remote because it's the 50-year vision. I believe it's by far the best thing we can do for the 50-year vision. I think it's a really crappy thing to do if you want to make the most progress in 1 year because it slows you down in the beginning. So I believe that it's the best way of building something long-term because I think that you get better people have happier lives, people will stay on longer, there will be a different dynamic. But over the course of 12 months, I think the best thing you can do is just squeeze those 12 months into a bunker and work 24/7, more or less, if that's your focus. But it's not. And I feel I'm still very focused on that long-term vision. And to be honest, I'm not sure if I want to change it. I realize that I want to talk a lot about the team about this, like what is really important for us, and what kind of commitment do we want to do, and how do we want to address this. And don't have the answer really. I prepared for this podcast writing about what are the reasons why we're not reaching our goals, and I had this list of technical things like, we're launching in Sweden instead of in the US, which was our original plan. We had to have some technical struggles. We've had quite a lot of problems with personal lives of our team members. There's been a lot of relatives have been sick, even cases of death. There's a lot of things going on in people's life that hold us back. But I realized that that's not the main thing. When I actually feel into it, the main thing is where my focus is. And combined with that, we're a remote team.
And I also see it that the short-term goal, what we're gonna do to reach that, is not the same thing that we would do to reach the 50-year goal. And for you as a founder of this company and a decision maker, you care about the 50-year goal.
Yeah.
Which means that you are gonna do decisions that are not the same as the goals that we have set. And also we have goals that are somewhat out of our control. So evaluating ourselves based upon them has a built-in sense of unfairness in it.
How do you mean with a sense of unfairness?
So if we, for example, had a goal, we're going to get 1,000 links. Then that is more in our control than we're going to go break even.
Yeah. Yeah, I can see that.
Because we don't know the conversion.
Yeah, I can see that. There's so many elements involved with that.
Yeah, like when I used to play poker as a professional, the worst thing you can do is to say, I'm going to make X dollars this month, because you are not controlling that. You can control how many hours you play, you can control how well you play, you can control how much you study, you can control your food, you can control your sleep, but not the outcome.
Yeah, you cannot control the element of luck.
Exactly.
Yeah. So let's boil this down to some wisdom then. What I realized thinking about this is that it's tricky to set a goal based on money. Just like you say now, it becomes abstract, hard to understand it, and you're not fully in control of it, unless maybe if you're selling vacuum cleaners and you can control how many doors you knock on, and that way you can get it there. But it's really hard. I realize also that it's challenging to put a goal 12 months into the future, regardless what you're doing. And build it from there. That I think what happens is, if you build a goal top down, it's like, I want to accomplish this by then you start taking that down to what has to happen for that to happen. Instead, if you're building it from bottom down, like, what do we want to focus on this month, the next month, the next month, the next month, and where would we get? You see the difference? Mm-hmm. Like, if you take the poker analogy again, if you say, I want to win $1 million in 2020, then you have to kind of backtrack that into how much money you're going to make and see where it happens. But if you instead think, okay, how much do I want to play? How much would I want to study? How would I want to eat? Okay, I want to play 8 hours per day. I want to sleep 8 hours per night. I want to work out every day. I want to study at least 10 hours per week. And you create the goal based on what you want, and then you kind of see where it takes you, would be the opposite direction. And I've never created a goal from that angle because it's harder. It's tricky. It's like, and I think it might be, I'm not sure if it's even good advice to do it that way, especially from a business point of view. But I like that approach somehow. I'm not sure if I'm buying into the idea of 1 year goals, at least not in a new organization.
So what if we instead set a goal? I'm gonna see if I understood the way you flipped this. So instead of saying we're gonna go break even by next year, and that means we have to do these tasks, then instead we have more overarching goals that in the future we want to get links and we want to influence people to live more lives that are more beneficial for the planet. those are two overarching things we want to do. And now we sit down with all the employees of the company and saying, to accomplish those things, what is the most productive thing you think you can do with your talents to go in that direction? And then someone might say, oh, I can build a website. And someone says, oh, I can start a new charity podcast. Oh, I can get links from these casinos. And then based on what everyone think is the most productive things they can do in the long run, then we say, okay, where do we think we're going to get in a year's time?
Yeah, exactly. So basically, if we did it that way, we'll realize, okay, I think that we would earn 1,000 euros in February and maybe 5,000 euros in March, and then kind of build it on that. And then what number would we get to?
Exactly.
That's not the goal. Well, it's more like, okay, we do these things because we believe in these things, and then we try to evaluate what would the result be rather than the other way around.
Yeah. And then we evaluate, okay, so to get to the overarching goal of more links, I will write X amount of articles. Good. This is how many articles I think it's healthy for me to produce in the next 3 months. And then after 3 months or during 3 months, I look, am I keeping the pace that I thought was healthy?
Yeah. I like that. And I come back to timeline, that I think it's really hard to set a goal 1 year into the future in a company that's less than 1 year old. I don't think that makes sense.
Yeah,
I think that's another big part here.
Change so quickly. And look, we've been running this for 2 years now that I've been involved. And there has never been 3 months where we haven't like completely changed what we think is the most productive thing to do.
Yeah. Yeah, that's so true. Okay, so let's get back to the original question as well, like how to deal with not reaching goals. Then I believe it's really healthy to just talk about it the way we're doing now and asking ourselves, okay, what is the real reason of not reaching these goals? And I feel it was very beneficial for me to just feel into, okay, Erik, what is the real reason? Because when I was preparing for this, I gave a lot of logic reasons, like this has changed, this has changed, this has changed, this has changed. But I didn't come up with the fact that, because my focus is somewhere else. That came from me just sitting in this moment, feeling about it. Like, whoa, that's actually the truth. And I also feel that it's valuable to reevaluate goals, that it's hard to set a goal 1 year into the future. And it might even be a really stupid goal to focus on after a while, because things change.
So maybe someone is in an organization then, because we at Great try to build a sense of safety where if someone feels like, I don't buy into this goal, I don't feel like this is the most valuable thing that I can do. I don't feel like this goal comes from within myself. Like, what can someone do in an organization where goals are just set and then you have to follow up on them?
I don't know. And I think that's a big problem. And I can see that's being a problem in companies I've been involved with in the past, that the goal is set from top management without necessarily understanding all the processes needed to get there. And it's just a number, and then people have to just make it happen. And I think it's very little you can do to influence that, rather more than being aware of it. And maybe even when you're looking for a new job, ask, how is goal setting done in this company? What do this company want to accomplish this year? And use that as a question to understand if this is a place you want to work for or not.
Yeah.
I think it's really hard to influence how a company sets goals, because I realize how much I do it on pure autopilot and how much I need to reflect on this to get to another point, and how hard it's hard for me to impact this, and I'm sitting on the top of the pyramid. I can't even imagine how to deal with it if you're 4 steps down the ladder or whatever, or 10 steps down the ladder.
Yeah. me that is a couple of steps down the ladder. I just feel like there's not much I can do about this goal. I just see red numbers, and I guess we're failing, but I don't know what to do about it. So I don't see how it's really helpful.
Yeah.
So what happens if we don't reach these goals of going break even?
Nothing happens. That's the thing. I mean, this is also why I'm not committed to it in the same way. One of the reasons why we have this goal is that we've kind of agreed that once we're going break even, we will start looking at a different kind of salary structure, and people in the team will be able to have a higher influence about what money they're earning, because at the moment people are working on a lower salary than preferable. And that means that for the team, it becomes important that we reach that point sooner rather than later, which makes complete sense. And it becomes a real thing when it's self-sustainable. Right now, it's still my crazy hobby in a sense, because I'm putting all the money into it. And that is also important for me to think about that. Yeah, but Erik, we're doing this because it's important to the team as well. Think about that, because I feel that I can drift away from that understanding, because I know that I will keep putting money into this, even if it takes another 2, 3, 4, 5, 10 years to break even, because I believe in this with my soul. I'm so dedicated to this long-term vision. But that's not something someone in the team can know in the same way I can know, because they're not in my soul. And the 50,000 euros or the break-even point is somewhat a testament of that. This is real. This is security. This is not something that's just going to go away. Because right now, theoretically, I could say tomorrow, I don't want to do this anymore, guys. Let's quit. And no one could really have an influence on that. So it becomes, we want to reach this goal because we want this to be real. We want this to feel safe. And just talking about it like this makes me also connect more to the goal than I'm connected to it otherwise.
And it makes me connect more as someone working at the organization. Because these things we didn't bring up when we set these goals.
Yeah.
If that makes sense. So I thought the main reason to set them was because I didn't want you to feel like you're spending money on this.
Yeah, and that's not at all the case.
Yes, that was my understanding up until now. So if you felt the reason why you wanted to reach the goals is for the staff to be able to set a more stable salary structure and for people to feel safety, then the goal becomes much less arbitrary.
Yeah. Yeah, that's my main driver behind this.
So I think this conversation highlights the importance of understanding the deeper reasons for setting the goals.
Yeah.
And it's more important maybe to connect emotionally to a goal than to what number it is or how you're going to get there.
Yeah. As I keep coming back to that original questions, like what to think about when you're not reaching your goals, then I think that this conversation is so valuable. Sit down with someone and try to really understand, why are these goals here? Do people understand these goals? Are we connected to these goals? Because to me now it becomes very clear that I haven't been connected to it in the way that I could. You haven't been connected to it in the way that you could. And then obviously that's a huge reason why we're going red everywhere, because we are not emotionally engaged with this in the way we could be.
Yeah, for sure. And maybe why there isn't a stronger sense of urgency within the team and within you to do something about it when we see the red numbers.
To me, this feels like a good place to wrap this episode up, because I don't think that I'm going to get from here to a concrete, specific do this, do that about goals. I've taken in a lot of new insights about the process myself, and it feels more like I've been sitting in a therapy session than anything else. But it feels like it's been very beneficial and very real up to here.
I completely agree. I think this is a excellent time to wrap this up. And I hope this was an insight into the inner process of building an organization.
Yeah, me too. Yeah, thank you guys. See you next week.
And if you are listening to this and maybe you thought, wow, this was an unexpected and interesting insight into what is it like to build an organization, and you feel like, oh, I would love for more entrepreneurs to hear these type of messages, how can I get involved or help out? Then what you can really do that would help us out immensely is if you are going into your podcast app, whatever that is, on Apple Podcast or whatever podcast apps are out there, and you hit the subscribe button. And the reason why that is helping us so much is that if you do, we have a chance to get into different podcast top lists, because those top lists are not based on the number of total listeners, in which case we would be fucked. It's about how big percentage of the listeners are subscribing, which means that we have a great chance to get in there. And your vote on us has an unproportional big effect. So please do go in and hit the subscribe button. And we see you next week.
Cheerio!
Cheerio!